Okay, this is the Poalcast episode. I'm gonna go with 8. Um, and
8.2.
8.2, yes, 8.2. And we're gonna discuss the treatment of how we as a society in general treat service workers of pretty much any industry. Um,
And mosquitoes, right?
and we also are going to kill all the mosquitoes.
Gas the mosquitoes. Gas them all.
Gas the mosquitoes.
Okay, who wants to start?
I mean, I guess I can start. I recently restarted working in a service industry, and I found that in general, the level of frustration that the general public seems to have when they have a problem with a service, a service employee, they direct their frustrations, at the employee when oftentimes it would seem that the employee really doesn't have any control over the situation.
Is it because of the way customers are treating them?
I mean, I guess I would say no. I don't think it is the. I mean, obviously the customers are responsible for how they treat the employees. That's obviously true. But you know, oftentimes in larger organizations, the guy that's snaking your drain, or the guy that's selling you a whatever it is, or the guy that's you know the, that's doing whatever service it is. Oftentimes that guy is just following orders.
Well, most of the time, it's you're the people you're dealing with from a customer perspective are the lowest tier in society. They're poorly paid, they're poorly trained, they're not knowledgeable in what they're doing. Like, if you're dealing with someone competent, like, you're usually not going to get upset with them, but most of the time you're dealing with the bottom of the barrel.
Well, I mean, I guess I disagree. I think there are lots and lots of people who are really good at being service worker employees. Like, I know one guy who is a career waiter. He makes a decent living doing that. He's a career waiter. It's what he does. And he's good at it, but he's still, at least once a week runs into that asshole customer who is just going to treat him like absolute dog shit, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Sure, there's always exceptions to the rule, but by and large, because of capitalism and the increasingly global society we live in, it's all about the bottom line, and they're going to hire the cheapest possible. And it, especially in the service industry, it really doesn't matter if you're good at your job. Most of the time, they just want a warm body. It
Yeah.
hurts their company, but they don't give a shit. It's because they'll manage, they'll get by.
Yeah, but does that necessarily excuse, treating those warm bodies like crap? I mean, they're still human beings at the end of the day, aren't they?
Well, you can look at it from a psychological point of view. Psychologically, when people are dealing with people in the service industry, you don't perceive that person as an actual person. You are there; they're providing a service to you, and so basically, you're just basically treating them like a robot. You can take it back to how, like, think about whenever you go to the gas station. How often do you actually make eye contact with the person you're dealing with, the clerk behind the counter at the gas station?
Well, I mean, I personally do every time because it's a human being most of the time. But, but I've experienced the service industry, so I, have a little bit of a different perspective on it than I think most people do. I think a lot of people, especially nowadays, they go straight out of high school into college, and, a lot of them never have to work for it. And so they don't have those experiences of, being that person. So they look at those people as less than, when they really shouldn't, especially skilled trades people, because oftentimes people in skilled trades, they train for years to learn to be good at what they do. Yet nobody thinks highly of a plumber. I mean, I do. Well, obviously, I mean, plumbing is, I do, but I wouldn't want to do the job, but I recognize the skill that's involved in doing it.
Well, it depends on what kind of industry you're talking about. I mean, for example, in restaurants, in service, but restaurants, if you complain about a dish and it's being sent back to the kitchen, well, you can be sure that, well, it depends the restaurant, but most of the time it's gonna be sent back with, I mean, you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, sure, let's.
Extra mayonnaise.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, when you complain about a dish, the best thing to do is say, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's just not cooked enough for me," or something. But if you say it's not good, I don't want that, I want another dish, and they accept, well, you can be sure that you're gonna have like,
I believe the term you might be looking for is Kuyo Sanga guy.
what was that?
Please tell me I'm not the only one who knows that joke.
Never heard about it.
Well, why, you don't know this one?
Are you talking about come of some young guy?
Yes. It's basically you say cream of some young guy really, really fast, so it sounds, like Chinese, but you know what it is.
It sounds more like Cambodian or Vietnamese
Well,
or Thai.
that's all the same to us here in the States.
Yes, we are uncultured swine.
Yes, we are. Anyway, to kind of shift things back on topic, like say you're at a restaurant, and and they bring you out something that is just, you order something, they bring it out, and it's just horrible, like just unedible. Like you can be like, "Oh my God, this is the worst thing ever! I can't believe you would serve this to me!" Bruh, 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 and get all belligerent, or you can be like, "Hey, I'm just not enjoying it, and I really am. It just doesn't suit my tastes. Is there any chance I could order something different?" I mean, like, given those two approaches, which one do you think is going to elicit the best response?
It depends if you do the Gordon Ramsay's impersonation. If you do it well, they probably gonna give you another dish for free.
Well, yeah, but we can't all do Gordon Ramsay.
They'll probably give you another dish for free regardless of how you behave, because what's the motto? The customer's always right, even if that's true or not.
I believe it's also related to the place you're going to. It depends on how much is the dish and what kind of standard the restaurant is up to.
I mean, at least here in the States, the more expensive it is, the more likely you are to get a different dish.
I'm not sure that's true.
I wouldn't trust them to not mess with the second dish. I would just politely say this is terrible, and then leave.
You wouldn't request something else?
Hell no.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Like, I don't like sending things back at restaurants because I'm always afraid they're gonna fuck with my food.
I don't know. In my experience in high-end restaurants, I've had a few times where I've sent something back, and I've tried to do it very politely, and they've always been very cordial about replacing it with something else. But these were restaurants I was going to with clients, and they were more expensive than I could realistically afford.
I'm sorry, I just can't imagine you sending something back. You always just don't.
When it's been us and I'm paying for it, yeah.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is, I usually go to places where I know the bosses or the floor manager. So if I go in a place where I never been before, I usually try to get recommendation from my entourage and my friends. And well, I'm rarely disappointed because I'm not really going around. I'm not just checking on TripAdvisor or the kind of like Yelp and stuff like that to be sure, because I don't believe in this place. These websites are using fake votes. As long as you pay them, they give you good ratings.
Well, I mean, that's true of almost every online review system nowadays. I mean, cough, cough, Reddit can buy front page posts, cough, cough.
To bring it back to the skilled labor in the customer or the service version of it, I was thinking of Boone talking about earlier today how his guys were getting treated like shit, and I think a large component of it with stuff like that is the money factor. People are, especially men who can't do it themselves, they're pissed at themselves, but they're also pissed they have to shell out so much money, and so they take it out on the person doing it.
I mean, that's definitely an angle I hadn't considered. I mean, the only thing I've ever really paid to have done is car work. And that's because it's something that I knew how to do, but I knew someone else could do it better. So I, was willing to just pay to have it done. And I wasn't pissed off about that because I knew they were going to do it better and faster than I could. I've actually got a pretty funny story about that one. So there was a company that asked me to come in and overhaul their network. Like, we're talking new servers, new router, new switches, new workstations, everything. They wanted this done with zero downtime. And they had and obviously this was going to be a pretty expensive thing because that's a lot of hardware and a lot of work. So I did it, and then the guy, one of my employees was there, and the owner of the business just started cussing the guy out when the bill came due. And so I went over there, and and the guy is just flipping his, he just cussed me out and cussed me out and cussed me out. And, and we're skilled, we're skilled, we're essentially skilled trade people. And he's, basically at the end of the day, he absolutely refused to pay the bill. He called me every name in the book you can possibly think of. Like, I'm pretty sure nigger and Jew and kike were thrown in there. But all I wanted was him to just pay the bill for the quote that he signed. And at the end of the day, I had to send him to collections. He didn't pay it.
Well, that's when you start ripping your shit out of the wall and take it back.
Unfortunately, that would put me in a very negative legal situation.
How is that story funny?
It's funny now.
Yeah, I got a pretty much, not really identical, but something pretty similar happening to me as well. I had to install a server and a link. Back in the days, they were connected with ISDN to a backbone. And so they had like sales on the road, and they could connect with a VPN with their laptops. And when I installed the whole thing, it took like 2 months because I had to buy parts, and they send the wrong parts, so we have to wait and send back and blah blah blah. So it took like 2 months, and I used to charge monthly, so I gave the bills and the stuff and invoices, and the boss said to me, "Oh, I pay you when you're done. Don't worry." And at the end of the installation, everything was set up and working. And when he saw all the bills, because it took 2 months and we had to replace a lot of equipment, he completely refused to pay. And I said to him, "Well, if you don't pay me, it's fine. Just don't pay me, and I shut down your service because you're not paying, so you don't get what you haven't paid for." And I said to him, "It's fine. You just call your lawyer, and we will just deal with that." But at the end of the day, he called me in the afternoon and said, "Okay, your check is ready. You can come and pick it up."
Anyway, I think we need to give a shout out to a special user that is probably listening. Poal's own troll. Shout out to Gay Barra. Anyway, so back to the service thing. So, like, I mean, I think a plumber is a really, or better yet, a garbage man. Garbage men are, well, they're not really skilled workers, but they are, I mean, they do provide an important service. Like, we all need our trash hauled away. So, I mean, shouldn't these people be looked at in a much better light than they are? I mean, like, we drag our trash out to the road, or at least some of us do, or we put it in a dumpster, and it's just gone. We don't think about it. We pay for it, but I mean, but those people are providing an essential function for Western society.
Yeah, but that's kind of a bad example. Even if you look down on a garbage man, you don't fuck with the garbage man, because if you fuck with the garbage man, you don't get your trash taken away. Like, you can fuck with the plumber, because, I mean, if it worse comes to worse, you could dig a hole and shit in the yard, or you fuck with the teenager behind the counter because you can, and you can get away with it. You don't fuck with the garbage man.
How often do you actually interact with your garbage man anyway?
I mean, honestly, I guess you don't. So that's a pretty good point. But okay, fine. The teenager behind the counter selling you, building materials, or better yet, groceries. Like, the teenager behind the counter selling you groceries. Yeah, you can fuck with him, but if he's not there, you're not getting groceries, or you're just stealing them.
I think it's mostly a power thing. Like, you're having a bad day, here's someone you can get away with, because most likely they have no other option. Like, if they lose their job, they're not going to be able to pay their bills, so they're just going to eat your shit with a smile on their face and say, have a nice day.
Well, yeah, but my point is, and the point of bringing up this topic at all, is that, like, we should be celebrating these people. Like, we should be, we as a society should celebrate the people who do the shit jobs. Like, nobody wants to shovel shit for a living. Nobody wants to go out and, work a register for a living. We shouldn't give these people shit. We should be appreciative of the fact that they're willing to go out and do it, because without them, at least at the moment, with current levels of technology, society doesn't move forward without them. A lot of people don't want to go out and, be a butcher and cut meat, but you know what? Every single one of us likes to eat bacon.
Yeah, but if you take Japan for comparison, they are the most nicest people in the hospitality industry and service industry. They're amazingly polite. But at the same time, Japan is the country that has the most vending machines per square miles. It's crazy. They are everywhere. Think about it. They are a culture where being the most polite person to the customer is the key to success in business. So the nicest you are in a restaurant for the service, the most customer you get. They don't just come for the quality of the food. They also come because the way you know how to bend, to say thanks to someone, or to welcome, to greet someone, to say goodbye. And it's very important, but at the same time they are using vending machines everywhere instead of using people.
Well, I mean, obviously, as the ability to eliminate human workers arises, it's going to be taken advantage of in every society, because human workers are expensive.
Yeah, so this is what is going to happen in the West as well, I guess.
Eventually, but for skilled labor, that's decades away. Like, you're not replacing a human plumber with with a robot. You're probably not replacing somebody that has expertise about a set of products with a robot anytime soon. Just because, if for nothing else, really, because the idiot customers don't know what the hell they want, and you need someone to drill down into them and go, okay, well, what is it that you want? Well, I mean, here at least, like in my IT business, I would get a call and somebody would say, "Well, my email doesn't work." Okay, what do you mean by that? You know, does Outlook not open? Does it error out when you hit send and receive all? Does can you not send? Are you not what do you mean by that? Like, I'd have to drill down into what they said and find the answer to what the actual problem is. Like, what they presented me with is not the problem. What they presented me with is a symptom. And I need to know what the actual problem is to fix the symptom.
But how is that them not treating you well? That doesn't.
That's not them not treating me well. What that is that's my argument against the ability to replace people with robots, in fields that require expertise anytime soon. Just because AI, at least as far as I've seen, doesn't really have the ability to do that. At least not yet.
And unless they're relying on it for business, like what you just described is a luxury. In a sense, their life will go on without it, and maybe that's a component of it. They didn't really need it, and then once the bill comes, they're like, "Why the fuck should I pay this?"
And that is a big thing. Is the value of a service drops, or at least as far as I can see, the value of a service drops dramatically after the service has been performed.
Yeah, like unless you like bringing it back to the plumber, you need them. Most people are gonna be pissed off at the high bill, but they're not really gonna fuck with their plumber. The guy who got you back into your email, you're like, $200 for this, or however. I've never paid to. I just make a new email because it's not essential to me, but I wouldn't pay money to get back into my email.
Well, yeah, but if you have an email address that is listed on your business website and you have 20 years worth of clients contacting you on that email address, and that's the only way they contact you, that email becomes very valuable very quickly.
Well, and then maybe the way they feel they got the value for that bill is making you eat some shit because they're pissed off that they have to pay so much, and they're angry at themselves for fucking up and being in that situation in the first place. I don't know.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, any IT service I've ever performed has been, people have either been appreciative or have said nothing. And I've always been of the opinion that no news is good news. If people pay the bill and they don't say anything, then they're happy. You don't call your electric company every month telling them how great they are for giving you power. The only time the only time you hear the electric company hears from you is when you have a problem.
Well, no one's happy to pay that bill, but we pay it because we want electricity.
Well, yeah, and the only time you call the electric company is when you have a problem.
I think it's all about perceived value. Like, people perceive the power company to be worth whatever, so they're gonna just pay their bill and whatever. But for taking it to your tech thing, like, most people, one, don't know much about computers, and two, they don't perceive a lot of value in you helping them get into their email. Yes, it's necessary, and yes, it took your skill to get into their email, but they just look at it like, this guy just pushed a button and got me into my email, so he's not worth all this money, so I'm gonna bitch about it.
Yeah, you can think about the fact that they were probably stressed out already by the fact they can't access their emails or they cannot connect to the internet or whatever.
I mean, I always thought about it, the way I would explain it to people is, you don't pay me to click the button, you pay me to know which button to click. And, but completely outside of that, what I would say is, in any industry, if I pay you to come fix my deck, or I pay you to come build a shed, or I pay you to come fix the plumbing in my house, because that, or better yet, I pay you to come fix my roof, or I pay you to come fix my sink, because these are all, pretty much essential functions of having a house, or really any place to live, or a furnace, or whatever it is, any essential function of living in a house. Oftentimes, from what I've seen, people are not super appreciative of the function that these workers are providing, and I'm of the opinion that they should be, because they have solved a major problem in these people's in your life, or in whoever they're providing the service to's lives. If somebody comes in, if you go, hey, I have this big problem, and it's a big problem for me, can you please come fix it? And somebody goes, yeah, no problem, I can fix that. Shouldn't you be grateful, even if they're charging you?
Well, obviously you should be grateful, but that's not the reality. Most people aren't grateful. Some people, for whatever reasons, they're on a power trip and they just like to demean other people, and some people just don't perceive those people as being of value, and that what they're doing is less than, so they're going to treat them like crap. Doesn't make it right, but it's what it is.
I don't think they necessarily should be grateful, because that's where the money comes in. You're compensating them for their time and skill with money. Just don't treat them like an asshole. I don't like when I go do my job and go to a customer's house. I'm happy when they leave me alone. I don't want them to be grateful. I just want them to shut the fuck up and let me do my job so I can leave.
No, but you wouldn't like it if they came to you and were like, hey man, I really appreciate you being here to do this. Can I get you some ice water, or can I get you some, something to drink, or, what can I do to make your job easier? Because you're here solving my problem, and I appreciate that.
Sure, it's nice, but I don't expect it. The more they leave me alone, the better. I'm there to do my job. I'm not there to be friends with them.
What about doctors or hospital staff, nurses, or surgeons?
Well, like, how many doctors don't get a thank you when a successful surgery is over? Like, every doctor gets a thank you for that.
I'm sure that's not true.
Well, if it's not a life-threatening surgery,
I mean, I thanked my mom's surgeon. I was like, thank you so much. This is great news.
What about the person who misdiagnosed the problem?
Well, they didn't necessarily misdiagnose it, but, that person didn't get a thank you, but I didn't call them up and be like, what a prick. I'm not going to call up the guy who was like, hey, your mom's going to die, and was wrong. I didn't call him up and go, you're an asshole and I hate you and you should die. I didn't call him up at all. I just didn't say anything.
Well, first off, no one said that anyway. They just said that she had cancer when she didn't, or that it looked like cancer.
Yeah, and I didn't call up the guy that said that and, chew him out. I just let it go, because I would rather him catch something and be right than be wrong and let it go.
That's one of the few times it's acceptable to call someone up or go in person and chew them out. Like, you fucking told someone that they have cancer. That's a huge fuck up. That's like, oh, I installed your toilet, but it's 2 feet underground. Enjoy.
It depends on how he presented it to you. Like, he say, yeah, that's definitely cancer, and you gotta get ready because it's not gonna last for long. Or did he say something like, that's not a good news, but at the same time, we're not really sure yet, so we have to do some more tests, and at the moment we're 50-50%, something like that. It depends on how he presented it.
Well, in this, what was presented to me was that it was a metastasized cancer, and they were sure of it, and they didn't know where it was coming from, but they knew it had metastasized to the spine, so it was bad news. And so, was I pissed that the guy, that they were wrong? Yeah, I was upset about it, but I was more relieved that they were wrong.
Yeah, so they wouldn't take the risk to tell you it's 50-50%, and you gotta give hope to people by telling you that it metastasized inside the spine. I mean, it's over. There is nothing you can do about it. It's fucking over. And when it's not at all, the end result is like they were completely wrong.
They were completely wrong, and I'm glad they were wrong. What better news could you get? That, somebody says, hey, this is game over. You're done. Oh, wait, we're wrong. Like, yeah, great. Awesome. You're wrong.
Just a lot of people act really badly to that information, though.
I am completely fine with them being wrong. Like, no hard feelings at all. Let them be wrong. But we do need to talk about exterminating mosquitoes before this is over. So, who is in favor of exterminating mosquitoes? I say genocide the mosquitoes, kill them all. The environment will be fine.
They every year get more resistant to insecticides and repellent. So the problem is, like, if you try to genetically modify their DNA, that could backfire and they could become really dangerous.
Well, no, what we need to do is just kill them all with fire. Just kill them all with fire.
Leave the mosquitoes alone. They're really fucking up Africa, and that's a good thing.
I think we could do that much more efficiently.
Yeah, but all of a sudden you're Hitler and you're a monster. Just let the mosquitoes take the rap for it.
Dragonflies eat mosquitoes.
We should breed more dragonflies. Well, didn't you see my new username I'm gonna claim?
I did not.
Yeah, I'm gonna be Titler.
I like it.
That's awful.
Are you serious?
I am mildly serious. I'm gonna be Adolf Hitler.
Gas the bras.
Yes, gas the bras. But no, I'm serious. I'm gonna claim that username, Adolf Hitler, and it's gonna be great. And I'm gonna gas the mosquitoes.
Who's in for the job?
That sounds like a funky purple kitty job.
No, I'm not going to change my screen name.
Who says you have to change it?
I don't post enough to have two.
Hey, we should set it up so people can have aliases.
Why?
Username too long. Anyway, I think we can probably wrap up this Poalcast. It's been fun. I think we've had some interesting discussions. Poalcast episode 8.2. What are we calling this episode, guys?
Extra mayonnaise.
Extra mayonnaise. Anybody got any objections to extra mayonnaise?
Yeah, extra mayonnaise is good.
Extra mayonnaise it is. Poalcast episode 8.2 signing off. Anyone who wants to make a final statement, go ahead and do so now.
I'm going to say my final thought is, to those in the service industry, don't take it personal because they don't view you as a person.
That is probably the best advice I've heard on here tonight. Episode 8.2, Extra Mayonnaise, signing off.